Greetings. Welcome to Nextwell's course on supervised and unsupervised learning. Let us start today's session by seeing a short video clipping. What do you see in this video? Roads, vehicles, stationary and moving, signboards, and I'm sure you all noticed the blue boxes around the cars. These are called bounding boxes. Are these boxes made by human? Well, to know all about it, stay tuned. Since we're talking about videos, I'd like to mention that YouTube Bounding Boxes is a large-scale video bounding box dataset. All of Google's videos have been manually annotated in bounding boxes. Today, Google boasts a 95% labeling accuracy with this bounding box video dataset. Our learning objectives for this session would include supervised and unsupervised learning, data science workflow, the human touch opportunities. Does it ring a bell? Yes, our tagline. Types of data and Nextwell's artificial intelligence capability matrix. By the end of this session, you will have a very good understanding on all of these topics. Most importantly, why are we learning all of these? Machine learning tasks can be broadly categorized into two major categories, viz. Supervised learning and unsupervised learning. First, let us look into supervised learning. When can supervised learning happen? Well, supervised learning can happen when we have data points with known outcome. For this, we would need to have a data set. Know the correct output for that particular data set, which in other words also means to know there is a clear relationship between the input and the output. Okay, let us say we want to model to identify images of birds. How do we do that? This can be done by training the model. In order to train the model, we will add a label to each picture initially. I will label this picture as a bird. This is not a bird. This is a bird. This too. This is not a bird, and not a bird either. Once I feed these labeled images to the model will learn with the help of the numerous hidden layers of neural networks we just spoke about as to what is a bird and what is not a bird. Neural networks mimic the neurons in our brain and learn in a step-by-step fashion. So this slide shows you a simple diagrammatic form on how a supervised learning model gets trained. Labeled data or data with outcome plus a fitted model together gives us our desired trained model. Now that we have a trained model, let us give it some input which is not labeled. Here we are giving it a picture of an animal. You might recall we gave a deer in the prior set as well, but that deer was a different one. The trained supervised model can now recognize that this is not a bird. Let us do another picture. To this trained model, we'll give it a totally new image which it has never seen before. There are high chances that it will predict it to be a bird or not a bird correctly. It is because the model has already learned from its previous data that we have given it, and this time it uses it wisely. Back to our simple diagrammatic representation. What can we conclude with the supervised learning model? If data with outcome is given as input to a trained model, it processes and gives us predicted answers. The input data is an image which is not labeled, and we want the outcome to be predicted. There are various applications where this concept can be applied. Here are a few of them. This should only enable you to think further and look for more such applications in your daily life. And that brings us to the definition of supervised learning. I'm just going to read this out for you, okay? In supervised learning, you train the machine using data which is well labeled. It means some data is already tagged with the correct answer. It can be compared to learning which takes place in the presence of a supervisor or a teacher. With this, we conclude supervised learning. In our next few slides, we will be discussing about unsupervised learning. Unsupervised learning can happen when we have data points with unknown outcome. This method looks for similar features and clubs it together. Since it is an unknown data set with unknown output, Unsupervised learning method is best used for clustering. Here we have the same set of images used in a supervised learning example. However, in this case, the images are not labeled as bird or not a bird. This full set of unlabeled images is fed to the model together. The model will process these images. Now you can see what our model has given us as an outcome. The 7 input unlabeled images are clustered into 3 different groups. One group that crawls, one that flies, and one that walks. I would like you to understand this important aspect. Here the work happens under no human supervisor, nor is there any knowledge of correct answers. The model iteratively makes predictions on the input data and is further used by the user. We are back with a diagrammatic representation. Okay, this is on unsupervised learning model. Unlabeled data plus a model predicts to give us predicted similar clusters. There are various applications where this concept can be applied. Here are a few of them. This should enable you to think further and look for more such applications in your daily life. And that brings us to the definition of unsupervised learning. Unsupervised learning is a machine learning technique where you do not need to supervise the model. Instead, you need to allow the model to work on its own, to discover information and cluster it accordingly. It mainly deals with unlabeled data. With this, we conclude unsupervised learning. Now that you understand both supervised and unsupervised learning, please tell aloud, what is the first main difference or the main difference? Did you say that there is a need to manually label each picture in the supervised learning, whereas in unsupervised learning, the full set of images can be directly fed in with no manual labels attached? Yes, then that's correct. So here we go. This picture captures exactly the same. We have one set of birds and not a bird which is labeled manually and the other set which is not labeled. And these will be fed as is to the system. I would like to pause here for yet another understanding check. We started today's session by seeing a short video clipping. There were several bounding boxes in it. I had asked you an open question then. If those boxes were made by human, if yes, why? I'm sure you are now in a comfortable position to confidently answer it. Yes, please say that along with me. They are manually made boxes to be fed as labeled input to a supervised learning model, and thereby the model can do its learning. Recap. I would like you to recall the 4 steps of AIML we earlier saw in the past session. Yes, say that aloud with me. 1. Prepare the data or pre-processing of data. 2. Machine plus an algorithm which gives brain to the machine. 3. The brain machine to undergo training and testing, in other words learning along with known input and output data sets to make an intelligent machine. Finally, deployment into production where new input data is processed to predict outcome by the intelligent machine. Now I am sure you will agree with me that human touch is needed in supervised learning to prepare the training data for the algorithm. The first 3 steps cover the entire development of the supervised learning model. Here we are back to our simple diagrammatic representation. This highlights the work that we, as in Nextwealth, can do as part of this development cycle. How can we be involved here? The raw data and the data labeling for the model development is one place we can work on. This labeled data is used to train the model. The first human touch opportunity, this is called model training. After the model gets trained in development environment, it is moved to the staging environment, where it needs to be tested with unlabeled data. Since the data is unlabeled, we will again need human touch to validate the model. This is one more place we can work on. This model will show the output as predicted. However, the human will have to validate and confirm if the prediction is correct or wrong. The second human touch opportunity is called model validation. After the model has been developed and later tested in the staging environment, it is finally moved into the production environment. Here the model will work on production data in a live situation. However, there is still a minute risk that the model might not work for some unknown cases in live production. In such a situation, a human touch is needed to manually validate and make appropriate correction to the output. Yet another place we can work on, the third human touch opportunity. This is called exception handling. Let us understand the types of data involved to do this sort of work. First, we will look into computer vision kind of data. This will involve images or videos. The typical human work for images could be labeling, putting bounding boxes, and such. We saw a similar example while defining supervised learning with images of bird and not a bird. For videos, the human work could be either tagging or object tracking, which can be done by putting bounding boxes for a particular. Let us look into natural language processing kind of data. In short, we will refer to it as NLP moving forward. This will involve sentences which are in text or audio format. The work that we can do for text could be parts of speech tagging like subject, verb, object, or like intent of the entire sentence, and so on. In this sentence, Germany is the subject, one is the verb, World Cup is the object. For audio, the work we can do could be to identify words and tag them in the audio or summarize the intent of the entire audio. Last but not the least, semi-structured and structured type of data. The tabular structure you see here is a classic example of structured data. This is data from our very own tea vending machine example. So everything input-output is defined like tea leaf quality, milk quality, sugar, etc. and the tea tastes. On the other hand, let us assume we want to collect data from the internet on a specific requirement. Here we'll have to look at multiple sources and pull the information of interest. This could be classified as a semi-structured type of data. This is a representation of Nextwell's AI capability matrix. This shows us the full range of Nextwell's human touch opportunities at one place. On the top horizontal, we have the three types of data we just spoke about. And on the vertical, we have the three types of work we can do at Nextwell. Very clearly, we are capable to do all of the combinations. A quick summary on all that we did in this session. Overall, this session talks about why we at Nextwell need to know about AI/ML. Keeping this spirit in mind, we covered topics on supervised and unsupervised learning along with the bird, not a bird example. Now let's recall Nextwell's tagline. Human touch to digital processes. Human touch are the key words here. We looked at the data science workflow where we understood the three human touch opportunities of interest to Nextwell, such as model training, model validation, and exception handling. Then the three types of data, which includes computer vision, NLP, semi-structured and structured data. Last but not the least, the 3x3 AI capability matrix. With this, we come to the end of this session. I hope you enjoyed learning why AI/ML just as much as I enjoyed in the making of the same. Congratulations.
Nextwealth. We enrich your data.